Welcome back to another episode of Locked In on Security, your go-to podcast for everything security related. Brought to you by Alert Enterprise, the leaders in AI-powered physical identity access management.
David, good to see you, buddy. We're here at ISC 2025. This is my 13th ISC West, I think. Honestly, it keeps getting bigger and better every year. You guys have a ridiculously huge stand this year. Tell me a little bit about what's new with you guys.
Yeah, sure. I mean, just to go back, I'm impressed that we get to have this conversation to start with. We first met when I was just a product manager for Streamvault at Genetec.
Yeah.
Going back, I just celebrated my 7th year.
Don't say just.
Well, Genetec, that's fresh hands still.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great now that I've moved into the partner side, and Genetec really is an ecosystem-led company. So it is our partnerships that make us, what we are today. So we're excited for our new booth. I'm glad you noticed it. It's great to see you guys in your booth as well.
Yeah.
And the show it just keeps getting busier and busier for us. Like this year, it's been massive. The foot traffic has been incredible.
Yeah.
And we've gotten so many, in that ecosystem of partners, we've gotten to the point, actually, we have to have a dedicated meeting room just for partners. We have a team of 3 here dealing with our technology partners.
Wow.
And we fill up that room, basically start of the day to the end of the show. It's just full of different partnerships. And for us, it's a partnership like we have with you guys. It's about building out that ecosystem. There might be areas where we think we have competitive products, but as a whole, there's so much more holistically that our ecosystem can do when we partner instead of compete. There's always areas to compete. There's always a lot more areas to partner and find that complementary solution, which is we have mutual customers that are used to that complementary solution. At the end of the day, we're both stickier with that customer. We both deliver a lot more value to that customer as a result of this.
No, that's great. I like that approach, and that it's kind of a fresh way of thinking, because when you look at the companies in this industry, we all overlap. We all have some sort of bleed over into what we do. But at the end of the day, we're all working towards the same goal here. We're all trying to build the best experience and the best solution, the most secure solution we can. So on that note, what's new with Genetec? What do you guys have cooking this year?
Yeah, it's a good question. So one of the things, we really are doubling down on open architecture. We do believe that core that made us, got us to where we are today is the fact that we work with best in breed customers. But we also believe in sort of giving customers access to the data that's already in their system. So one of the things that I think is really cool that we're coming up with is a data normalizer. So a lot of our tier one customers, a lot of the Fortune 500s that we work with, they have a ton of access control data within their system. And that data can be useful to HR, it can be useful to operations, it can be useful to a whole myriad of applications that are outside of the security domain. So this data normalizer normalizes that access control data, as well as other data points we have in our system, IIoT data, LPR reads, what have you. And it gives those customers access to that data so that they can run their own algorithms on it, or they can do their own things with it that really enhance not necessarily their security operations, but all the rest of their operations, going beyond security, which is something I think that was a pivotal message to Genetec when I started and we were working together. And with AI now, it's only accelerated what we can really do.
So AI is obviously the biggest buzzword in the industry right now, but it's no longer a buzzword. I mean, people are bringing real products to market. We've got our own Gen AI and agentic AI components. What's Genetec's view on AI, and where are you guys heavily leaning into that right now?
Yeah, that's a great question, because if you go back quite a number of years now, we've been very, I don't want to say conservative, but we've been very realistic in what AI can deliver. And that message is still true. We do think that it's the buzzword on everybody's lips, but it's not necessarily able to deliver all the value that people here will tell you it can deliver. But we do know at this point, it's at a maturity level that it is delivering enormous value to customers. It's just making sure that they're realistic in the way they deploy that. So for us, it's about a building block within what we call intelligent automation. So it's AI as a building block that really accelerates the consumption and analysis of all the data points that are in the system, but then opening it up so that the human in the loop, which is a huge component of what we believe, is that there always should be an operator that's making the decision.
Yeah.
The AI is just supercharging that operator. So then we're getting intelligent automation is the stance we take on it. So we think it's not going to solve all of the customers' problems, but it can really accelerate the solutions on some of those problems and really making a much quicker time to resolution. So analyzing millions of data points and telling the operator what data points are relevant, right? If you run a report on an access control user and you say, okay, I want to run a report on this user, instead of just running the report on that user, well, then we can associate, okay, this user went through that door at this time. So let me pull up the camera feeds associated with that user going through those doors and just make them available to the operator. The operator can ignore it, or he can say, oh yeah, I do want to follow him through the facility, or I do want to see where he went next, right? So that report on an access control user opens up a lot of opportunities for us to make the user, the operator, much more efficient at then continuing his investigation. Instead of just using a single siloed domain, it's wrapping all the rest of those domains together and allowing a much quicker time to resolution.
Nice, good. So drill down a little deeper on access control. You guys every year publish your State of the Physical Security Industry report. What are you tracking, or what are you looking at in the access control space right now? Trends, players, products, what's hot right now?
Well, the number one thing that we get every year over year, consistently from the State of the Industry report is the fact that access control is the consistently top of the list for where people are going to invest. So we know, the return to office refreshes, more and more companies are looking at the space that they have available. They need to understand that space. And so they think that the best use for their CapEx budget is to go into the access control system and modernize it to allow it to do all the things that they want to do with the space. And it's funny because there's a lot of things like AI has obviously shot up a little bit over the last couple of years. But access control consistently ranks at the very top of that list for places of investment. Which is great to see. For us, we love that. Access control, we think, is where we really go from more of a forensic approach with the camera data to a very proactive operational approach with that access control data. And it also bridges, and this is something I'm sure the Alert Enterprise well, but bridging into the the operations, so HR. Access control is more a function of HR with onboarding new employees. That's somewhere where we can go way beyond the traditional security message by having a really well-honed access control platform.
And that convergence between the IT world and the physical security world, I think, is an area that we put a lot of time and focus into. We've got deep hooks, very deep hooks into some very non-traditional systems that historically have not been connected to access control before. HR systems, IT systems, travel booking systems, ticketing systems. So we're taking that, we're extending that experience. So we would consider ourselves the middleware provider or the integration layer that connects the Genetec system to the SAP Concur system that issues the mobile credentials that gets you access into your office and then expires based on the travel that you booked. So I think it's a really complementary partnership. And I want to spend a second talking a little bit about not necessarily our partnership, but again, your view and strategy on partnerships. Obviously, you guys have doubled down tremendously over the years. You're arguably the biggest player, if not one of the biggest players in the access control space right now. How do you select partners? What makes a good partner for you guys?
That's a great question. And it's more like it's philosophical and technological, right? Technologically, you have to be competent. You have to have good technology. It's very important for us that piece is there. But at a more philosophical level, I know you used to work at Genetec, so you'll know this very well. But, the vision of our CEO and president, Pierre, is very important for how we operate. And ethics and responsibility is a huge part of that. So for us, when we're looking at partnerships, it's, are they bringing the best in breed technology to the ecosystem? And do they align culturally with Genetec? Do they see, the customer base that they're trying to address is a similar customer base to ours in terms of not working with malicious actors, not working with, potentially geopolitical rivals or something like that. So all of those things come into question when we're looking at partnerships. But the number one thing is filling gaps in our ecosystem. And to your point, you have so many hooks into different HR systems and IT systems. Of course, we have AD and like the standard ones that are table stakes for access control. But filling the gap in the ecosystem where you guys deliver value far beyond that, that allow us to, you can act as that middleware, as that bridge between all those different systems, so that the end user gets a seamless experience when working with their campus or their facilities and their customers, their internal customers. That's something that is crucial in how we want to select our partnerships.
You said a really, really important word I want to talk about for a second, and that's experience. And I think we have a lot of credit needs to be given to companies like Apple and Google and these new disruptors who've come into our industry in the past few years, looked at how legacy the physical security industry truly is, and has said we need to do things differently. So it's really changed a lot of our development methodologies, our product life cycle, as we evaluate how we build products. We're not building one-size-fits-all solutions anymore. We're building products that are specifically tailored for how an end user interacts, physically, tangibly touches the technology that we use. So we put a lot of thought into the onboarding, the offboarding, the provisioning process. Everything we do is focused around building a delightful experience. We want to build products and solutions that our customers love to use. And I think it's a refreshing take in our industry right now. I think our industry is going through a tremendous transformation like it never has before. And I'm going to give a lot of credit to the fact that all of us collectively, Genetec included, are really starting to think about how do users touch and interact with our technology.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it goes to development principles like DevOps and, making sure that you're containerizing workloads so the workloads can go where the customers need them. And whether it be at the far edge, at the near edge or in the cloud, being very flexible in our development processes that allow for the end users to really deploy the systems that they need to do that, because they're always going to be different, right? An end user is never going to be the same as another, and they're going to have different policies and requirements based on PCI requirements if they're a financial institution, what have you. There's going to be a lot of their variety in the way that they need to operate. So those development principles are key. DevOps is key to be more agile, to be able to deliver value to our customers much faster. But I think at a more philosophical level, like you're absolutely right. Like, we were okay as an industry deploying systems that were complex because, we would like to solve complex problems. It's fun to solve complex problems, but then you're not really thinking about the usability of that product. We have our VP of engineering is always talking, Chris Marat, about 1 grain of sand. Like, for us, it's about reducing friction, removing 1 grain of sand at a time from that gearbox until you have a perfectly well-oiled engine that's running perfectly. So anything we can do on the development side that removes a grain of sand is always going to be a priority over anything else. And I think that applies to a lot. It's great to see a lot of other companies in the industry focusing on that usability of the product over necessarily just making a complex solution that works, but isn't a joy to use or deploy. And then, I think there's some competitors in the industry that are fine to lay back on that complexity, and then they use that complexity as a lock-in method, right?
Yes.
So, we're complex. It's going to be hard for you to get off. We don't have to innovate as fast because we got you locked in, and that really irritates customers. We want our customers to be happy to use our software. We don't want them to be annoyed at us, but feel they have to use us, because as soon as they can jump ship, they will jump ship.
And as we're seeing more of the intersection between enterprise technology and consumer technology, consumers have more power than they've ever had. Our end users have more power, have more usability than they've ever had before. We're asking them from the mobile credential world to take their personal devices and put their work credentials on them. So there's a level of trust, I think, that we always have to make sure that we convey. We have to be the trusted vendor, the trusted provider. And I know that's a core tenet. Trust is a core principle in how you guys take your products to market as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, trust is at the forefront. Trust and user satisfaction. We want the user to be happy. We don't want them to feel like they're locked in. So both of those are core tenets. And to your previous point, both of those are things that we look for in our ecosystem partners as well, right? Like, we don't want partners that are going to lock in our customers into a model. We don't want, hostage as a service, which has become sort of more prevalent in recent times with the way things work. So for us, open architecture is key. That ethical business practice where you delight your customers and they stay with you because they're happy to be with you, as opposed to they feel forced to be with you and then are looking to jump ship as soon as they can.
Good. Well, I see a lot of synergies here. I'm looking forward to deepening the partnership this year, and I'm sure we'll talk to you again at GSX.
Great. Well, thanks for having me over for the chat. And yet again, it's a pleasure continuing to work with you.
Cool. Thanks, David.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel to stay up to date on the latest episodes. Share this episode with your network and engage with us in the comments below. We'll catch you on the next episode.